Hi everyone, and welcome back to Hey Sara Sara.
Oh, sorry guys.
Wait, do you want
Today's
to
episode.
wait? Do you want to
No,
restart?
I can cut it out. Don't worry.
Okay, I'll like restart then. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Hey Sara Sara.
Today's episode is a little different because we officially reached 300 followers on Instagram.
So instead of interviewing a guest, we thought we would interview each other, reflect on everything that has happened so far, and properly thank everyone who has supported us.
We normally focus on the stories behind other people's work, but today we're sharing a little more of the story behind Hey Sara Sara. So, Sailee, what originally made you want to start Hey Sara Sara?
Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name is Sailee, and I'm the lead host and one of the founders of Hey Sara Sara. So what originally made me want to start this podcast was actually my own project, Project Safe Ride. So when I first started Project Safe Ride, I felt really lost, and I knew I cared about the mission, but I didn't know how to get people to listen or how to give the project the reach it needed. And then I had an opportunity to be on a podcast myself where I got to talk more about Safe Ride, and that experience really impacted me both professionally and personally. So that's what really inspired me to start Hey Sara Sara. I wanted to create a space where other students, founders, and changemakers could talk about their projects, share their stories, and hopefully get the same kind of support and visibility that meant so much to me. Okay, so Sarada, what was your first reaction when I told you about the podcast idea?
Okay, so I remember you had like texted me about the podcast idea, and I was like, that is the coolest thing ever because I'm constantly on Instagram. I'm a huge doom scroller, but I will like see everyone's organization posts, see and like see them repost everything, and I've always thought that all of these organizations deserve to have a bigger spotlight and feature, and that's why I immediately wanted to say yes, and I did, and that's why we started the podcast because all of these organizations have like such a nice mission, and we wanted to bring it to light. Okay, my next question for you is: did you expect the podcast to grow this quickly when we first started?
Not at all. When we first started, I was honestly really worried that people wouldn't understand the vision or see the purpose behind it. And I also wondered if our account would grow or if people would actually even watch the episodes. But it turned out much more than what I expected. So we've grown a lot. I've met so many amazing people, and the support that we received has meant so much to us. And I'm really grateful for everyone who has believed in the podcast so far, who has been on the podcast and supported us. Okay, so my next question for you is what made you want to be part of building the podcast?
Building the podcast. Okay, so I am the lead editor for those of you who don't know me. And I've always been like a huge editor. I loved editing videos, reels, everything like that. And when I saw this opportunity, I was like, obviously I'm going to do it. And I also love building community. I'm a content creator myself. And through this podcast, I feel like we get to grow alongside the community. So as our podcast is growing, we also get to help organizations grow as well, which is why I wanted to help build this podcast. Okay, my next question for you is behind the scenes. So, wait, hold on. No, it's not my next question. Here, you go
I was
ahead.
like, I'm a little confused, but that's okay. Okay, so as our
Okay.
lead editor, what is something people might not realize that goes into editing and producing an episode?
As lead editor, I feel like there's a lot of different parts that are like with the video. So you have the video itself when you record it, and then you have to put in the episode together. You have to create the thumbnail and then the story preview and the post. And these are all like there's so many different components and moving like parts of the process. But I like getting to do it because I feel like I get experience in so many different things. I get to edit the videos, but I also get experience with graphic design, and yeah. And then my next question for you is: what is the most challenging part of hosting an episode?
Okay, so I honestly wouldn't say there's like one part that feels extremely challenging because hosting is something I genuinely like love doing. But if I had to choose one specific like challenging part, I would probably say it's like making sure every guest feels comfortable and that the conversation flows naturally. Like sometimes a lot of the guests are nervous at first. So as a host, I try to make the space feel welcoming and help them feel confident about sharing their story. And I think the challenge is not just asking questions, but really listening and making sure the guest feels seen. So, yeah. And then for you, my next question is what has been your favorite behind the scenes memory so far?
My favorite behind the scenes memory was probably when we first got all the interns together and we created our group chat and everyone we just like hit it off so well. I remember like we were asking some icebreaker questions and the conversation just flowed so naturally and I really appreciated that because like in other organizations I've been part of, I feel like the team was strictly very professional, but with our team like obviously we are professional, but we also get to have a good balance of the professionalism while also having fun and we're actually making friends and like good connections for the future. And then my next question for you is, have there been any funny, awkward, or unexpected moments while recording an episode?
Yeah, definitely. So when we were reaching out to guests, I was fully booked for almost 2 weeks. So I was recording around like 2 to 3 episodes a day. It was a lot, but it was also really exciting. So in one of my recordings, like it was the last recording of my like 2 to 3 weeks, or 2 weeks. I had this recording with Project Aspire, shout out to them. And one of their founders, they had the fireworks effect on the Zoom playing in the background. And it felt like a funny and perfect ending because I had just finished like 2 weeks of recording and I loved it and it was a little celebration for me. So shout out to Suhani from Project Aspire for the fireworks. But yeah, that would be one of the like remember like moments that I remember from my episode.
That is so cute. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And then I have another question for you. Which conversation or piece of advice from a guest has stayed with you the most?
I love this question. Okay, so usually my last question for my guests is what is one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to start something of their own? And something I've noticed is a lot of my guests have said, just do it. And that has honestly really stayed with me because I really agree with it. When I first started Project Safe Ride and this podcast, I was hesitant because I was focused more on what could go wrong instead of what could come out of it. But now, whenever I have a new idea, I just remind myself to go for it and figure out along the way. Okay, so my next question for you is, has working on the podcast changed the way you see people's projects or stories?
Yes, definitely. I feel like when we first look at someone's project, like their Instagram account or like the organization's website, you believe that it's like maybe like only one person or very few people behind the team working on it. But when you get to learn more about their perspective and the behind the scenes and the process of like how they build these organizations, you realize it's not only just that one person or just that team. There are so many other people who help them along the way. And I feel like that shows that like whatever you're going to build, you have that support no matter what, as long as you look around and you like try connecting with everyone in your community. And then my next question for you is, what is something you have learned about yourself throughout hosting?
One thing I've learned is that I'm actually really good with people, and hosting has really shown me that I enjoy meeting new people, asking questions, and helping them feel comfortable enough to share their stories. And I also think that I've realized that I'm a better listener. Every guest comes in with a different background, project, or experience, and hosting has really taught me how to connect with people quickly and make the conversation feel natural. So those are two things that I've learned about myself through hosting. Okay, so my next question for you is what is something you have learned about yourself through editing and helping lead the podcast?
Okay, so through editing and leading this podcast, I've learned like so much about like graphic design, honestly. I feel like I'll like search up these organizations on Instagram and see like the effort they're putting behind these posts and then like being able to highlight it and I'm like, "Oh, those are such cool ideas for posts." And I feel like I'm able to get so much inspiration and it just shows that there's so many ways that creativity can be displayed and that I don't have to like show it through just one way and there are so many like facets that I could represent it through. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we're gonna go into our rapid fire round. So, what's your okay? So I'm gonna ask you first. Okay, so what
Okay.
is your favorite episode so far?
My favorite episode. I would say the first one. Maybe basic, but I like the first one because I felt like it showed me like what our podcast could be and like all the things that it could grow into.
Okay, and next rapid fire question is dream guest.
Dream guest. Ooh, probably the founder of Generation She. Her name is Avni Barman. She's also like an Indian like us, and I've looked up to her so much like over the years. I've known her since like middle school and followed her content, so that would be pretty cool to have her on.
Maybe we will one day. Okay. One word to describe Hey Sara Sara.
Ooh, this is kind of hard. I feel like I would say community, because we are building community. But yeah,
Agreed. Okay, and favorite editing tool.
favorite editing tool. Oh, shout out Canva. I love Canva, bro.
Agreed. Okay, and funniest recording moment.
Yes, recording moment. Well, I don't really record a lot, but I guess I'll refer to the part we had earlier where I thought I was supposed to ask a question and I didn't. So there you go.
Okay.
Okay, and then my question's for you. Okay, so what's your most nerve-wracking episode?
Honestly, all of them. So every episode is like nerve-wracking in its own way because every guest brings a different story, and I always want to make sure I do it justice. So yeah, every episode.
Okay, and then who's your dream guest?
My dream guest would be Princess Diana. She's always been one of my role models, and I really admire the way she was compassionate and purposeful, and I always try to do that myself. And if she was still here today, I would love to have her on our podcast.
Hmm. And then, okay, so currently we're at 275 supporters. So what is one word you would use to describe that?
Amazing.
Amazing. Yes, I agree. Okay, and then my next question is, do you like prepared questions or spontaneous questions?
Definitely prepared. I like having a structure, but I still leave room for conversation to flow naturally, but prepared.
Yeah. And then where do you see the podcast 1 year from now?
1 year from now, I hope we continue bringing on more guests with more meaningful stories. And more than anything, I hope our podcast keeps growing into a space where people feel excited to share what they're building. And I hope our past guests feel like they made the right choice by coming onto our podcast. And I hope it's really life-changing for them. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's the end of our rapid fire round, but I do have another question for you.
Cool.
What are you most excited about as the podcast continues to grow?
I'm most excited to meet even more new people. Even in just the past 2 weeks, I've met so many amazing guests and made so many new connections through this podcast. So it's been really special to hear people's stories and also build a lot of friendships along the way. So I'm excited to keep that community growing. Okay, my next question for you is where do you hope our new interns and growing team what do you hope our new interns and growing team bring to Hey Sarah Sarah?
Ooh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit of a tangent, but I don't know if you guys have heard this, but there's something called the 6 degrees of separation. So basically, what it says is that you are about like 6 people away from every single person in the world. Right. Now, back to the question, what do I hope they bring to our team? Now I think we currently have about like 5 or 6 interns, I believe. And so with that, like our network that and like the community that we could reach has become exponentially larger. First, it was just the two of us, but with this team, our community and network becomes exponentially larger, right? And so we have a bigger opportunity of like people that we could connect with and the amount of guests that we could have. So honestly, it's just like seeing that growth and seeing how many people we're able to impact and how many short like people's stories we're able to share. But yeah.
I love
And
that.
then just a second. Okay. And then my question for you is what kind of guests or conversations would you love to feature next?
I love this question. So I would love to continue featuring guests who are just starting out with their projects, businesses, or ideas. I feel like we've had a lot of projects so far, but we haven't had anyone with like a business or anything. So I'd really love to have more guests who have like business, like babysitting or pet sitting or tutoring or anything. And I think those stories are really important because sometimes people just need a platform and a little visibility to keep going or even to start. So I want Hey Sarah Sarah to be a space where we can help bring those voices forward and support them in their early journey. Okay, and for you, my question is, what do you hope listeners feel after watching or listening to an episode?
I hope listeners feel all the like love that work and effort and love into these episodes. So yeah, that's my answer.
I love that.
And then sorry, my phone keeps turning off, bro. Okay. Okay, that's all.
Okay, so before we end, we really want to thank every guest who has trusted us with their story.
And Thank you to everyone who followed, listened, shared an episode, sent us encouragement, or supported the podcast in anywhere.
275, which is our current number, is more than just a number to us. It represents the people who believe in the space we are creating and the stories we are helping share.
And we are only getting bigger. Our team is growing, more voices are joining us, and we're making even more room around the mic.
The spotlight was never just about us, it's always been about helping other people find theirs. Thank you for
Thank you for
staying with
300,
me,
and
and
thank you
thank
for
you
being
for
part of
being part
Hey
of Hey Sarah.
Sarah Sarah.
Okay, bye.
Bye!